I didn't get into a single group, and I imagine like coming from here being like, oh yeah, I'm the best singer on the class, I'm the best, that thing. And then going to a place where everybody can sing and everybody can play an instrument. The group dynamic, always surprised. How quickly people go from sitting next to each other on their phones and not saying anything to making jokes.
What happens when you bring together 50 people from diverse backgrounds across different ages with varying singing skills? You get the Strangers Choir. You may have seen their reels making the rounds on social media, a phenomenon that has taken the nation by storm. Welcome, listeners, to Be All You Can. I am Jillian from Corporate P&A, your host for today, and I am super excited to introduce to you our guest today, Medha Sahi, the founder of the Strangers Choir. Welcome, Medha, to Be All You Can.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be a part of this.
So, Medha, let's dive right in. You've been a singer all your life. Can you take us back to where your journey really began? Where did that passion for music stem from?
I grew up in an extremely musical family, what some might call too musical. Like there are no family gatherings without somebody breaking out into song and then somebody getting annoyed because they didn't get enough time on the mic and, things like that. So I was trained in Hindustani classical from a very young age, but we moved a lot. So it was never formal enough to really qualify as being like, I'm a Hindustani classical singer. Because of that, there was always this undercurrent of music in my life, both in school and out of school and in the family. And it was a very, very musically enriched life for the first at least 15, 16 years, involuntarily, because my parents were sort of responsible for that. And then when I went to college, I sort of chose that life as well. So yeah, that's the way.
Something I think everyone's curious about is how did the unique idea of the Strangers Choir come to you?
So I will never take credit for this idea because pop-up choirs have existed for so many years. It's actually, when I did some research into it, they have existed for I think almost a decade, right? Where people get together and then they sing. But I know that they gained popularity when this beautiful collective called Gaia Music. Okay, there's a collective in New York City that actually started in New York City, but now they do it all over America. Called the Gaia Music Collective. Those videos started making the rounds. And I saw that and I was like, I want to be a part of it so badly. Like, I want to be in that room with that energy so badly. And so I looked for a little while. I'm based in Goa, which is a very choir-heavy place to be in all of India. I think, I think this might be the place that has the most like choral music happening. But it was all very formal and it was all very... There was a bit of a gap, right? It was not as accessible as I would have liked it to be, right? The rehearsals were happening twice a week, very far away and things like that. And so I said, okay, you know what? I have been a teacher for such a long time. I don't need it. So then I sent a message on this art group that I'm a part of. And I said, hey, anybody want to do this with me? They don't know who I am. They have no idea of my musical training, no certificate, no nothing. And they were like, okay, cool, we'll go because you know what, whatever, who's got, let's waste a Sunday, why not with music? And it turned out to be one of the most beautiful things. Like, I know that we've come such a long way from that in terms of number, in terms of size, in terms of song choice, in terms of in terms of how confident I feel. But that first session, it really has a special place in my heart because I sort of had this feeling of, oh, this is going to work. Like, this is going to be fun for me, like this is going to give me what I needed and also give a lot of people what they need, this way to like connect with people over an activity, right? And you're building something together and then it comes together and that the euphoria of that, being able to create that was then, it just sort of snowballed into this huge thing now that you're saying, oh my God, doing the rounds and all, it's making me feel conscious, but yeah, but that's how it started.
So why strangers? What does the word mean to you in the context of this choir?
I mean, there's people are literally strangers. So many people, especially in the first one, they all came alone. Nobody came with a friend. Like they're like maybe a couple of people who came with their partners or their like buddies or whatever. But most people just showed up by themselves, willing to be vulnerable, right? Singing is a very, very vulnerable art, more so than playing an instrument. Because when you have an instrument, you have this little thing to hide behind, right? Oh yeah, I play guitar. The guitar is really not good. Or your keyboard not working. That whole thing. But your voice lives in you.
Yeah.
And it's such a vulnerable part of yourself to expose to literal strangers, right? They're actually just strangers, right? And then to come together, so then I just called it that. It was a whim, and then it became a name, and I
Okay.
think it communicates the message really well.
Yeah. You've toured across the country as one of the leads in Beauty and the Beast, a true bucket list project for so many. And you've also been a part of the Vassar Jazz Ensemble in New York for 3 years. How did those experiences shape you? And how does the music industry abroad compare with India?
So I was never a part of the music industry in, I mean, outside of India. I was in college. I went to college in Vassar College, which is this place in upstate New York. It's
Okay.
a very like prestigious and like hard to get into type college. And I was a very studious. I continue to be a very studious sort of person, right? So I went there with the intention of studying theater and English or something like that. Right? That was like my like, subject. And then when I was there, I discovered that they, like all colleges across the world, sort of have this academic part of your life, right? You have academia, and then the student-run, student-led arts are very encouraged in that place specifically. And so I had the opportunity to do this jazz ensemble, and it was open to audition for non-music curriculum students as well. And music was one of the subjects you could have taken. And
Wow.
they said anybody can audition. And so then I auditioned my first year. I did not get in. I didn't get into a single group. And I imagine like coming from here, being like, oh yeah, I'm the best singer in the class. I'm the best, that thing. And then going to a place where everybody can sing and everybody can play an instrument and everybody can play a sport and everybody's good at studies. Like that was like a real shock for me to be like, whoa, like very like small fish in a big pond suddenly. And so the second year, I was like, no, this is something I really want to do. So I practiced and I asked for help and all of that stuff. And I studied to be a part of that. And then they didn't kick me out, which was very nice of them until I graduated. So I stayed with them. That was like a crash course in
Okay.
being a performer, right? Because it was a 40-piece band and there were three singers, right? And the singers would only sing solos. It was not a group singing or anything, right? Imagine 40 instruments and you somehow have to stick out in that environment. It really teaches you a lot. Also, it teaches you that
Yeah.
musicians have their own language and musicians sort of like you really, if you want to be a part of it as a singer, you should learn an instrument, you should learn to understand what they are trying to say and then be a part of it. So that was one amazing thing where I was just like, because it was not a class and because it was directly a performance led thing, you have to do the whole thing where you're learning on the job. So
Yeah.
okay, I know how to do it, and then go and like quickly Google stuff. That was like my like modus operandi was
That's
just like, yeah,
lovely.
just because you have to. There's no other way. Beauty and the Beast, on the other hand, was like, that was something that I was like, I want to do this. Because I have been a Disney child my whole life. I continue to be one of those people who's like, no, Disney movies are nice, right? And of course, that was also a random audition where I saw one poster where I used to work. I used to work at this place called the True School of Music. I was a vocal faculty there. And I saw one small purple color poster and they said, oh, auditions are open. And I said, okay, cool. What's the harm in auditioning? And it was at like this Bandra auditorium. And it was such a strange experience. That was like my first professional audition as a musician, right? Because it was outside of this very sheltered college life, right? Where you're a student and people know that but this was like amongst professionals. And it was such a weird experience because it's a stage, which I was very familiar with, being a theater kid at school and everything. It was a stage and there's nobody in the audience, but all the lights are on and there's three people just sitting and you can like hear them, but you can't see them. And you just do your best. And then they called me back. And I was so very convinced that I'm going to get Bell Karol. I'm going to be like, wow, look at me. That did not happen. Owing probably to this goofy personality, they gave me like a really goofy role, which turned out to be such a blessing because man, the people who played the leads, they worked so hard. I was honored to be a part of that cast because I saw what real actors and real musicians and real like what are they doing to get so good at their craft. And so being around that was incredible. But I also learned everything I know about vocal teaching from that experience because we had Suzanne DeMello. She is a Bollywood singer. She's the one who does all the English parts of all the Bollywood songs that you know,
Oh,
but you don't know it's her. And they got her as the vocal coach. And she taught me everything I know about teaching music and about the voice as an instrument. I still use the exercises that she has taught us. And I've told her that like I would not be half the singer I am without her. So then I got trained. through that. So two widely different experiences, but
Wow.
equal in learning and equal in profundity, if that's a word. I don't know. Profoundness.
It sounds like so much fun.
It was so much fun. It was so much fun. 6 months with like a cast. It's just amazing. It's just amazing. Plus being a Disney musical. Come on. Come on.
Yeah, I know.
The stuff of dreams, yeah.
So when I first came across the Strangers Choir on Instagram, I didn't think they were strangers. They sounded lovely. I wanted to sign up immediately. So what do you think sets this apart from other singing or improv groups?
Mm. So I mean, I'll only speak for myself because I can't speak as someone who has attended something. I think the thing that is the most different is that I don't consider myself a musician. I consider myself a teacher first. I have
Okay.
always been a teacher. Like since I got out of college, I have been in the education. My family is in the my mother is a school principal. I come from a very long line of educators. And I think there is where the difference lies, right? It's not a musician talking to non-musicians, right? It's a teacher talking to people who are eager to learn. So I think the translation of complicated musical things is much easier for me because I have the background to back simplifying things, right? Breaking things down in a way that is digestible for even inexperienced singers. I think what that does is that allows for a level of complexity to be reached even with people who have no experience. I think
Okay.
that is the biggest difference. And I say this in all my choirs that I've been a teacher for the last 15 years. I'm not afraid to scold anybody. Like I will shush people and I will scold them. I will make them feel like they're in school. Because if you're gonna take 100 people and you're gonna teach them entirely a new piece, you gotta have some sort of like I've shouted at old people, I've shouted at children, I've shouted at people who are my age. It's just a part of the thing. And I like it because I feel like it makes a common enemy, then the group they can like with random people they can bond over the fact that they got scolded. Which I think helps because I don't mind being that, right? I don't mind like having that effect on people, right? Oh, look at this, like, God, this teacher has come to scold us. I do know that in the Gaia Music Collective, one of my students actually has attended a few. They are basically sent the music earlier and you're expected to sort of already know it before you arrive so that it can sound like wow, right? But in the
Yeah.
Strangers Choir, we don't do that. The thing that is unique about us is that you have to walk in with a blank slate and then you build everything together, which means the whole song that you're seeing in the end has only been done in 90 minutes. It's only 90 minutes of work that sort of leads to that. But because everybody has come, I don't want to say unprepared, everybody has come not knowing what they're going to do, that everybody learns at the same very, very fast speed.
Yeah. So with people from such varied walks of life, different ages, professions, personalities, what do you think they gain most from the Strangers Choir?
I think there are two really amazing things. One is the physical catharsis of being in a group. It's a very human experience to be connected by music, right? When you're a spectator at a show, right, at a concert, you already, right, if you make eye contact with someone in the audience who is also singing along, there's some concert happening, you make these little micro connections, right? So it's that,
Yeah.
but amplified because you're suddenly a team, right? You walk in
Yeah.
and there are like these few activities, but you still stay as individuals. And then you're this thing and the ecstasy of it, right? The ecstasy of hearing 100 voices that has nothing to do with how good it sounds or how bad it sounds. It's just the gift that music gives, right? Is that feeling. So that's one. The second thing is the camaraderie of it, right? The communityness of it, the non-phoneness of it, right? There's no technology, like there's nothing, right? You're with a piece of paper, you're using a pen to write things. I think it takes you back to a very nostalgic era of your life, whether you're a student, whether you're a professional, whether you're an older person, it sort of takes you back to this very common sort of childhood experience of being a student and like creating your school play together or something like that. So that is, I think, a really good takeaway. And then you exchange numbers with people. Then you're like, oh, can you send me this video? And then you make friends. And to make friends in today's day and age in person, man, what a gift. It's so good.
Yeah. I have seen you get emotional in some of your reels.
Wow. Everyone. I cried all of them. I cried each session. It's not possible. You stand where I'm standing and not cry. That will be an achievement. It's so moving. I can't tell you. I always say this in each and every one of my sessions. I say this: $1 million or $1 million or whatever, crores of rupees for my
Yeah.
seat in the house, because I get to hear everyone together, and I get to see the expression on people's faces when they're like, "Oh, we did this! Oh my god, that!" Right? To be able
Yeah.
to bring that to people, that's emotional, man.
Yeah. So many people love to sing, but they get stage fright singing in public. Me, for example. How do you create a safe, inclusive space for people who may never have sung in a choir before?
So I've had a few inquiries where people have said, "Oh, hey, my mom really wants to come, but she doesn't want to sing; she only wants to watch." And I have had to say no to that, because there are no spectators. There is no audience at all. Everybody who is in the room is singing at all times. Like that, literally not for 1 second. And there is no solo singing. Oh, that's something my sister told me to mention very clearly. There is no solo singing at all. You will sing as a group, as smaller groups, or as the whole collective. There will never be a point where you're singing by yourself. I think that really helps. I think the fact that you are always supported by somebody else, whether it's me, whether it's your partner, whether it's somebody with more experience, always there is somebody to carry not only your fear, but also your ability. People automatically sing better when they are surrounded by a group.
True.
And that,
That
I
works
think,
for
really,
me.
really helps. Right? See?
Yeah, that
Because
works for me.
I think people are so judgmental of their own voices. Oh my God, I sound so bad in recording. Oh my God. Because you never hear yourself, right? You never hear your own recording back. Now, so in the age of voice notes, you're still getting more familiar with your own voice. But
Yeah.
to be confronted with the unfiltered sound of your own voice is jarring, right? For a lot of people, but you never hear it. You never hear it at all, ever. If the group is singing, my mouth is moving, voice is coming, no idea where it's coming from, which I think works in everybody's favor. Yeah, which is why we say beginners are absolutely welcome, because they don't behave as beginners once the singing actually starts.
Okay, so this idea of bringing together a group of people to sing is a very unique one. Did you face any challenges while starting in trying to get people to accept the idea?
So I didn't have trouble with people accepting the idea. I did have trouble with venues being like, "Oh, we don't do stuff like this." A lot of cold calling of, "Hello, I'm a person who wants to sing in your art gallery. Can we come?" "I'm so sorry, we don't do." Like, so, "Oh, write to us," then no reply. Like a lot of rejection where venues were doubtful that something like this could either work or not cause a disruption or not damage the property, or you bring 100 people, nothing's going to happen. "Oh, in our space, we cannot fit these many people." And I was like, "Don't worry, don't worry, I've got it." But I got very, very lucky as well. I got very lucky that within my network and within their joined networks, people somehow, we scraped together season one. And now that season one is over, now there are venues that are reaching out and saying, "Hey, you want to come and do it in our place?" And I'm like, "Oh, me? Oh my
Oh,
God."
yeah.
So, which is very, very nice. It is a very, very, like, it makes you feel really good and like supported by the world. When they see something that's good, they want to make space for it. Which is good. But yeah, people want to sing. There are people who want to turn up the music in their car and sing. They want to sing in the shower. Those people will come every time. They will find a way to reach the choir, which is lovely.
True. Through the Strangers Choir, you bring together a group of strangers and form a community. Have there been moments where the group dynamic has surprised you?
The group dynamic always surprises me. How quickly people go from sitting next to each other on their phone and not saying anything to making jokes, and like they have their own inside jokes. That always this happens, that so there's usually a low group, a middle group, and a high group, and then people will start being like, "Low group, we're a group, we're the best," like that sort of camaraderie that occurs just naturally, because if you team people up, they're going to get competitive. Even though the whole point is that together you are a choir, right? You can't do it. I mean, you can't survive without the other group. But yeah, that's a really fun part of being a part of this.
It has been a great conversation and we've loved hearing your story. But
Thank
we're not going to
you.
let you off that easy.
Oh, oh my God.
We harmonize together.
Oh my God. Okay. Online with a lag. That's difficult. What song would you like to sing? So you sing and I will harmonize. Chalo.
You will harmonize?
Jimmy.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Listen, baby. Ain't no
Oh.
mountain high Ain't no valley
You
low.
can sing.
Ain't no. Okay, I'm
Ain't no
gonna sing this
river
again.
wide enough, baby.
Baby, if you need me, call me. No matter where you are, no matter how far. Don't worry, babe. No what? Just call out my name. I'll be there in a hurry. I don't need to worry, 'cause baby, there ain't no mountain high enough.
Ain't
No
no
valley
valley
low enough.
enough. Ain't no river wide
Wild
enough
enough
to
to
keep
keep
me
me
from
from
getting
getting
to
to you,
you.
babe.
Good job! I knew there was a reason they made you only interview.
Thanks for listening to Be All You Can, a podcast by Godrej Enterprises Group, exploring the passion, purpose, and dreams of pioneers. Stay tuned for more stories that inspire action and impact.